Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to our webinar. I'm super excited for it. Please be on mute the entire time, and you can put any questions in the chat. Today, we'll be showing you how to create your own Alexa skill. However, before we get started, let us quickly introduce ourselves. My name's Aariv Modi. I've been developing Alexa skills for the past 2 years, and I've published 5 Alexa skills, including my skills. I'm not? Shoot. I always forget. Okay, now can everybody see my slide deck? Okay, let's start again. My name's Aariv Modi. I'm 12 years old and I attend Walsh Middle School in Round Rock, Texas. I've been developing Alexa skills for the past 2 years, and I've published 5 Alexa skills, including my skills STEM Party, Word Party, and Wheel of Fun. I've been a speaker at global conferences, including Project Voice and Voice Global 2020, and I also actively contribute to the voice community through my blog and my YouTube channel, where I have blog posts and videos centered on Alexa. I also enjoy playing chess, basketball, and reading books.
Hello, I'm Dhanvi Modi and I'm studying BTech in Computer Science. I have been developing Alexa skills for the past 2 years. I have published 4 Alexa skills, including Name the Show, Math Master. I enjoy programming and drawing. So let's start with what is Alexa. Alexa is a cloud-based voice service which is enabled through various Echo devices. Alexa has various inbuilt features like providing weather forecast, news, and playing music. You can even play games or turn lights on and off. However, you can also create your own Alexa skills that you can use with your friends and family or even publish it to Alexa Store. Our next slide. So this is Alexa family of devices. They come in various shapes and sizes. Some devices have screen while some don't. So the devices are like Echo Spot, Echo Show, Echo Dot, and Kindle. There are millions of devices all over the world that have Alexa enabled in them.
Okay, now let me explain how Alexa works. The first thing that happens is the user makes a request. It can be anything as simple as, Alexa, what's the weather? Or it can be something slightly more complex, such as, Alexa, open Jeopardy, for example. Your Echo device hears what you say, makes an audio of it, and streams it to the Alexa service. The Alexa service is comprised of 3 main technologies: ASR, or automatic speech recognition, NLU, natural language understanding, and TTS, text to speech. The first service to work on it is ASR. ASR's job is to convert that audio recording into JSON text because that's what the rest of the process needs. It can't function on audio. And so ASR figures out what you're saying and converts it. It can be hard even for humans to figure out what someone's saying because there could be background noise or music, and some people also have accents. However, ASR usually does a pretty good job. Next comes NLU, or natural language understanding. NLU's job is to figure out what you're trying to do. If you say, Alexa, what's the time? Then NLU will figure out, okay, this user wants to know what the time is. Or let's say you just opened one of my Alexa Skills STEM Party and it asked you, are you ready to start? Then if you said yes, then NLU will figure out this user wants to continue with the skill. But if NLU says, if you say no, then NLU will figure this user wants to end the skill. NLU sends a request containing the intent to your skill's backend. You should have a handler for every possible intent. Your code will execute, and your skill should send a response back to the Alexa service. However, right now, it's just JSON text, and your Echo device needs to play audio. And so the final service, text-to-speech, does exactly what the name implies. It converts text to speech. Your Echo device then plays this audio, and if the skill is multimodal, and if your device has a screen, an image may start to form upon the screen. And so this happens every single time a user says anything to Alexa.
So it's time for a quiz. We learned about three main technologies which power Alexa. Two of them are ASR, automatic speech recognition, TTS, text to speech. So, what is the third one? You can message the answer in the chat. I'll wait for some time, think about the answer, and then message. So, if you said NLU or natural language understanding, then you are correct. Aariv, next slide. So, the next question is true or false? TTS converts speech into text. Again, you can message the answer in the chat. So the correct answer is false. TTS converts text to speech and not speech to text. So now let's understand what are Alexa skills. Alexa skills are like apps on your phone. When you buy a new phone, your phone comes with some built-in apps like a calculator, calendar, and more. Similarly, Alexa comes up with some core capabilities like music, news, weather, and more. Like developers can create apps and publish it to Play Store or iOS. In the same way, Alexa Skill Kit allows developer to create apps and publish it to Alexa Store. Users can access these apps by saying Alexa open followed by the skill name. Like you can access Uber by saying Alexa open Uber. So here are some fun skills like either or, wheel of fun, song quiz, fact or fib, and I created a skill like Name the Show, which was also about a quiz skill and it was fun and a game quiz. Alexa also provides you with some educational skills like 1, 2, 3 math, bamboo math, STEM party, and more.
Out of all of my Alexa skills, my personal favorite is STEM Party because I added a lot of really cool features to it. The user gets a choice of subject and difficulty level from math and science and easy, medium, and hard. My skill also keeps track of the user's stars and streak and has a very engaging screen experience for those customers who have a device with a screen. You can even earn bonus stars from hidden chests in the game. Okay, now let's get into developing Alexa skills. There are two main ways to create an Alexa skill, through Alexa Blueprints and through the Alexa Skills Kit, or ASK. Alexa Blueprints is an easy way to develop Alexa skills without knowledge of code. It has easy-to-use templates, and it's good for personalized skills. For example, let's say on Father's Day you wanted to create a skill called Dad's Trivia, which had a bunch of trivia questions about your dad. Well, then Alexa Skill Blueprints would be the perfect thing for you. However, if you're a programmer, then you can create more complex Alexa skills using the ASK. Coding is required, but as I said, it's good for engaging skills and you have more control over the user experience. And so if you're a beginner, Alexa Skill Blueprints is probably the way for you, but with the Alexa Skills Kit, the sky's the limit. Now let me show everybody how to create a blueprint skill. Go to blueprints.amazon.com, and if you want to follow along with me, you must have an Amazon developer account. Okay, you can just sign in here. And I'll give everybody a little bit of time to get here. Okay, hopefully everybody's here. So the first thing that you'll notice when you get here is that there are a lot of different templates. There's one for really almost any scenario, like spiritual talks, university, birthday greeting, fairy tale. There's so many different ones. So what we'll be creating today is we'll be creating a quiz skill under learning and knowledge. So just click on quiz and click on make your own. Okay, the first step is the content. And you'll notice that there are already a few state-related questions added. And each question has the question, the answer, and there's optionally a follow-up fact. So you can add a question by just clicking add Q&A, and you can remove a question by clicking on the X next to it. And you can add as many questions as you want. Once you're done adding content, it's time to move on to the next step, the experience. This determines how Alexa hosts the quiz. For example, let's say this quiz intro. Right now it says, welcome to your quiz, but you could make it say, welcome to this super awesome quiz, something like that, whatever you choose. With the message, Alexa plays this sound, bell, med, chime, too. Again, you could change that from all these different categories. There's also player greetings, quiz responses, winner responses, and even if you have an Echo device with a screen, you can even choose a background image from these 5. You can add as many responses as you want, and then it's time to move on to the final step, the name. You can name yours whatever whatever you want. I'll name mine maybe silly date quiz, something like that. And then just click on create skill. Okay, it takes a little while for the skill to create. So in the meantime, let's do a quick quiz.
So answer in true or false. Alexa skills are like apps and are built by third-party developers. Again, you can message your answer in the chat. If you answer true, then you're correct. Alexa skills are like apps and anybody can build them. So what is your favorite Alexa skill or the feature? So my personal favorite skill is Name the Show, which I created. It's about the popular TV shows that you watch and it's about a quiz about these shows. So I personally like them. Message your favorite skill or feature in the chat.
My favorite has always been smart home because I've always thought it's amazing. Like, oh, you can be in one room and then the lights in another room can just turn on just by using your voice. Oh yeah, I see a lot of people are saying escape the room, word of the day. These are also really good skills. Okay, so by now our skill should almost be done creating. See? Okay, yeah, your skill is created. So from here you have a few options. You can say, you can keep your skill the way it is. Right now, it's enabled on all devices associated with your account, and you can just share it with your household and just play it. Your second option is you can share with others, and if you click on share with others here, no, then you can use email, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or you can just copy the link. And so then family members or friends can just enable your skill on their devices. Your third option is you can publish your skill to the Alexa Skill Store so anybody in the world can play your skill. And one thing to remember, you can't do both. You can't share with others and also publish to the Skill Store. And that's it for our Blueprints demo. Or you know what? Why not? Let's just do one more. Let's go back here. Oh, this is skills you've made. Let's just go home. Let's see what we should make. Why not make a burn skill? So just click on make your own. And here you can see that there's already a few different burns added. You ought to think about being an astronaut on a one-way trip to Pluto. And so then there, you can add burns again and you can delete. And for this, there isn't really much of an experience. So then you can just name it what should I name it? My funny burns, because why not? Okay, once again, it'll take a couple of minutes. And in the meantime, let's just continue on. Okay, so now let me talk about the components of Alexa skills. There are two main components to an Alexa skill, the interaction model and the Lambda function. The interaction model is where Alexa detects what the user said and figures out what they're trying to do. The interaction model is connected to a Lambda function via endpoints. The Lambda function contains your business logic where the skill decides what to do based on what the user said. When we were creating blueprint skills, we didn't have to worry about this because Amazon took care of all of it. However, since we're creating a skill using the Alexa Skills Kit, these are things we have to keep in mind. Okay, you guessed it. Now let's create an Alexa skill using the Alexa Skills Kit. You can go to developer.amazon.com, and once again, you must have an Amazon developer account if you wish to follow along with me. Let's go ahead and click on Developer Console, and then Alexa Skills Kit. And I'll give everybody a little time to get here. And in the meantime, are there any questions? Okay, from Thurnham, if an Alexa skill has 3 components, can different accounts work on each component and be combined into one skill at the end? Could you elaborate a little more, please? And Tushar Kumar, there'll be a recording of this entire session and we'll send it to all the attendees. So if you missed out on anything, you can just see it in the attending. What's the best way for team members to collaborate on building an Alexa skill? I'd personally say the best way is maybe have one person work on designing the voice experience and maybe one person design the code. And so then that way there isn't much confusion because it would be hard if 2 people are working on the same, like if 2 people are working on the interaction model and 2 people are working on the code, then things could get mixed up.
And just to add to that, sorry, I'm just sitting too close to Aariv, so it's echoing. Just to add to that, if your business logic has multiple components, then people can work on different components, and you can manage your code and yeah, you can manage your code in Git or somewhere. So from the business logic perspective, absolutely multiple people can work together, and then they can combine the code and deploy to one like Lambda function or any kind of web service you guys are using to host this business logic code. Aariv will be going through the code in just after this. So you will get a little bit better idea. But collaborating, absolutely, if those are different components, you can absolutely collaborate on the backend piece of things for sure.
Okay, so by now, hopefully everybody's here. And so you'll notice you probably don't have too many skills, except if you created a state quiz and a Burns skill, and then you'll see those there. Let's go ahead and click on Create Skill right here on the right side. Okay, so first you can enter in your skill name. I'll name mine Super Space Facts. And what about you guys? What skills do you think you guys are going to create? You can just message it in the chat.
And Caroline, I can address your question. So you had a question around, do they need to have the same developer account? What you can do is you can add multiple developers to the same account. And if you go to in this developer dashboard, if you go to settings, it does allows you to add multiple users to the account. And that way, multiple users can collaborate building on the same interaction model, and testing out the skill.
All right, so, oops. Okay, so Super Space Facts. And then you can choose your default language, which is, I'll keep mine English US, but there's lots of different languages to choose from, like a bunch of different English languages, French, Italian, wherever you're from. Next, it says, choose a model to add to your skill. There are a few different models like Flash Briefing, Smart Home, Music, etc. And if the skill that you're creating falls under any of these models, then it's a lot easier for the developer to create the skills because it's mostly pre-built. However, the skill we're creating today does not fall under any of these models, so we'll just go ahead and stick with custom. Next, it says choose a method to host your skill's backend resources. An Alexa-hosted skill is better for beginners because this way you don't need to go into the complexities of AWS. Plus, there's also no need to create a Lambda function. However, if you're a more experienced developer, provision your own is a better option because you have more control over your skill. However, it's more complex and an AWS account is required. For this webinar, we'll be going with Alexa-hosted Node.js. And let's go ahead and click on Create Skill. Okay, choose a template to add to your skill. The skill we'll be creating today is a fact skill. So let's just go ahead and select fact and click on Continue with Template. Okay, it'll take a little while for the skill to create. In the meantime, let me familiarize you with some terms you'll need to know. The first is the wake word. The wake word is a word that signals the device to start listening for user input. For most devices, the wake word is Alexa. However, the other options are Amazon, computer, and Echo. Who is drawing on the screen? Okay, well, whoever it was, just don't do it again, please. Okay. However, the other options are Amazon, computer, and Echo. The other is the invocation name. It starts an Alexa skill and is chosen by the developer as long as it follows Amazon standards. For example, if you were creating an Alexa skill called My Interesting Facts, you would probably make the invocation name My Interesting Facts. There are also different types of invocations, 1P versus 3P. An example of a 1P invocation would be, Alexa, what's today's forecast? Because in this case, Alexa is the wake word, and what's today's forecast is the utterance, or basically what the user said. And this is a 1P invocation because instead of being handled by a third-party skill, Amazon itself is just handling it. However, if you say, Alexa, ask Big Sky for today's forecast, now Alexa is the wake word once again, and ask is the launch, which are words like ask, tell, start, open that are said before the invocation name to make it more natural. Big Sky is the invocation name for a skill, and for today's forecast is an utterance. In this case, this is a 3P invocation because Amazon is redirecting it to this third-party skill, Big Sky. The skill will start, and it's not just being handled by Amazon. There are a few more key terms you should know. The first is an intent. An intent is, simply put, what the user wants to do. Utterances map to intents. The second is a slot. It's variable information. There are both built-in slot types and custom slot types. Built-in slot types are slots with values already added, while you can define your own values with custom slots. An example of when you would want to use a built-in slot type is if you ask the user, how many steps did you walk today? Their answer could be low, such as 100 to 200, or it could be high, such as 10,000. Without built-in slots, you would have to add every single number to your slot. But instead, you can just use the built-in Amazon.number slot type. The third is an utterance. An utterance is simply any phrase users might say to Alexa. Some examples of utterances are, what's the weather, and yes, and no. As I said, anything a user might say to Alexa. Okay, by now, oh right, one more slide, I forgot. Here's an example of intents, slots, and utterances in action. Let's say you have a skill which allows users to book trips to their favorite cities. You'd probably have an intent named something like city intent, and for slots, you could use the built-in Amazon.city slot, and the utterances you would map to city intent would be things like, I want to go to Amazon.city, take me to Amazon.city, I'd like to see Amazon.city, and so on and so forth. And so now whether the user says, I want to go to Los Angeles or New York or Machu Picchu or any place, then Amazon.city will act as the variable, and you can access what city the user said later in your code. Okay, by now our skill should be finished building. And now let me quickly show you some things that I just talked about. If you click on the interaction model here, you'll see that there's intents. And if you click on the intents, you'll notice one thing about all of them. It's that all of them start with Amazon dot, except for one. And so if an intent starts with Amazon dot, it means that it's a built-in intent. So similarly, we had built-in slot types where the values were already added. Well, in the same way, there's also built-in intents, which have utterances already added. You can add your own after those, but there's already some added. The only one that's not a built-in intent is get new fact intent, which is a custom intent. If you click on that, you'll see that these are all the utterances we have. It's if you show all, then this is all of them. A fact, a space fact, tell me a fact. Now, if you're creating, say, a joke skill, like we saw a few other people wanted to create, then you would probably want to change these utterances from like fact or space. You would make it like funny jokes or tell me a joke. And so then to delete an utterance, you can just click on the trash icon. And to add an utterance, you can just type it here and click plus. And the other thing I wanted to show you was if you click on invocation, right now the invocation name is change me. And so we want to change our invocation name to whatever the user should say to invoke your Alexa skill. For example, my skill's name is Super Space Facts. And so if the user says, Alexa, open Super Space Facts, then I want my skill to be invoked. And so I'll make my skill's invocation name Super space facts. So this way, if the user says, Alexa, open super space facts, then my skill will be invoked. Then once you're done, you can just click on Save Model and then Build Model. Okay, and while the skill is building, let's go ahead and move on to the code.
Hey, Aariv,
Yeah,
can you show the JSON editor and a couple of interfaces which are there?
sure. So then back here, you'll see that there is a, here, JSON editor. And here you can see that you have intents, and then there's one for each intent we saw. And then there's also the utterances. And so if you want to edit your code in JSON, then you can do that. And you don't have to use the interaction model by adding intents. Mhm.
Oh, I was sorry. I was in mute. I was talking on mute. So I was just trying to address like Cody's question. If you have three coders working on three different parts in the same interaction model, can you test each part separately? Um, you can create three different skills, but really there is no way to test the interact three parts of the interaction model like as separate skills, because there is a lot of interdependency on things, and also one part of your interaction model can really influence the other intents. So generally we try to create one holistic skill and test things there. But absolutely, if something is completely different, if you see this is kind of a very individual functionality, you can try to testing that separately and then integrate it and then do the full testing again.
Yeah, like I think if it's possible, if you have three different intents that they don't work together, they're all separately, then I think it would be possible for three different programmers to work on the same interaction model, and each one would just work on a different intent. All right, so now let's go ahead and go into the code. Okay, so the first big thing you'll see is this get new fact handler. And so, as I mentioned earlier, in your code, you'll have a handler for every possible intent. Take this one, for example. What we're essentially saying is if the request type is a launch request, or basically if the skill has just been launched or started, or if the request type is an intent request and the name of that intent is get new fact intent, like we saw earlier, then we want to execute this code, which will basically get a random fact, and speak it out loud. Then here we have help handler, and what we're saying is if it's an intent and that intent's name is amazon.help intent, then we want to run this code. And so then we have the same thing for fallback, exit handler, and a few more. Can handle.
Aariv, can you
Yeah.
just zoom a little bit? It's very hard to see anything on the screen.
Is this good?
Yep.
All right. So and what you'll do is you'll have a handler for each intent. And in the can handle, that's where you're kind of checking, is this the right handler to go into? And then in this handle, this is kind of where this is where you're gonna run your actual code. So if this is true, then you want to run the handle. And that's mainly the code. The other important part is where you keep your content and messaging. So if you look on the side here, under index.js, there's a language strings.js. Go ahead and click on that, and you'll see that there's your skill name, get fact message, help message, and then here at the bottom, there is your facts or your content. Right now, these are just space facts, and so you'll probably want to change these. And one thing to remember about any content that you add is it must be wrapped in single or double quotes, and you must have a content at the end. You must have, a comma at the end. And you can update your messaging as much as you want. And there's also different languages like ES, DE, JA. You don't really need to get into those. But yeah, so then that's it for the code. You can add as much content as you want, and you can update your messaging as much as you want. And then you should just click on save and click on deploy. And one more thing, if you're running into some problem with your Alexa skill, I'd say the best place to go is if at the bottom here, you'll see logs, Amazon CloudWatch. Amazon CloudWatch will store all your skills logs. And so if an error comes in your skill, most likely it'll come in CloudWatch as well. And hopefully it can help you narrow down what the problem is and fix it. All right, now let's test our Alexa skill to see if it's working by clicking on the test tab. So then we just want to toggle it to development. And then in the field here, we just want to type open, followed by whatever your skill invocation name is. Mine is super, oh shoot, I'm typing so bad today. Super space facts. And let's see what happens.
Here's your fact. Jupiter has the shortest day of all the planets.
Okay, so it looks like our skill worked. It said, here's your fact, and then it shows a random piece of content from our content file. So it looks like that's working pretty well. There are 3 tabs still remaining. I'll briefly explain those.
Hey, Aariv,
Yeah.
Just a quick comment here. So if you look on the right-hand side, there is, it shows you the JSON input and output, right? So if you can go down. So this is a great place for debugging. So if you're running, this is a very simple skill and it worked for the first time, but in the real world, it really won't work for the first time. And this is a great place to see the entire JSON payload, which is being sent to the Alexa skill, and what is the output coming in. So if you look, or if you scroll it further down, it will show you the exact intent name it got mapped to. It will show you the slot values got mapped to. What is the viewport in terms of whether this is a screen-based device or not. It shows you the locale, which is like, so in this case, the second last line says like in US. And so you can see like, all of this stuff in here. And this is a great way to debug your Alexa skill. Other than, of course, like, what Aariv showed initially using CloudWatch. So CloudWatch will have all the logs around your business logic, but for requests and responses, this is my first place to go and see what could be wrong with this skill. Yes,
Okay.
Aariv, we can move on.
Yeah. So now let me briefly explain the other three tabs. The first is distribution, where you'll have all of your logos, descriptions, tags, all your publishing info if you want to publish your Alexa skill to the Alexa skill store. Next comes certification, where if that's the final step in publishing your Alexa skill to the skill store. And then third is analytics. Analytics, you can see how many customers, utterances, and sessions your skill is getting, and that's really helpful. And that's it for our Alexa Skills Kit demo.
Hey, Aariv,
yeah.
it will be great to show those screens if you can go and
Sure.
click on distribution and certification. I think it will be helpful for people to know that.
Okay, so here in distribution, since we already had a template, it's already filled out for us. Like there's already detailed description, one sentence description, public name. However, you can change it. You can change it. There's also example phrases, so what the user can say to open your skill. You can put in 2 icons, 108 by 108 and 512 by 512. Choose a category, keywords, and these are optional. You don't have to make a privacy policy URL or terms of use URL. And there's also privacy and compliance, where you have to answer some questions. And there's also availability, like who should have access to this skill.
Right. And especially on this particular screen, this the beta testing feature, this is super helpful. So if you have, say, you are a developer of a skill, you developed the skill, but now you wanted to test it with some real users, you can enable the beta testing for it and send out the link to people who you want them to test, right? So this is like something what Aariv was talking about when showing the blueprints that you can share with family and friends. And this is similarly like, here you can send it to like people within your organization or set of friends who can test the skill for you on the real devices. So beta testing is really, really powerful. It allows you to add up to 500 members at any point of time.
Okay, right now beta test isn't available for this skill because it's not ready for submission. But yeah, so that's for distribution. And then in certification, there's a validation check just to make sure that you have all of your publishing info. And right now there's 9 fixes because we didn't fill in a lot of the stuff. And then there's also submission. So you can submit it for review if your skill has passed the validation test. And then the Amazon team will test it, and if they don't find any bugs and everything's good, then we'll submit it for review. And if there is some problem with certification, then they will send an email to you containing the certification feedback, and that's always really helpful so you know exactly what to fix. And then the third tab is analytics. Right now, there's no metrics for everything because we haven't really played our skill. So you can see today, yesterday, last 7 days, 30 days, or even a custom range. And there's a lot of different things you can see. Customers, sessions. I mean, everything's flatlining right now, but if you publish your skill, you'll see how many utterances. There's also all sorts of intents and everything. So then if you want to see some analytics for your Alexa skill, this is the best place to go. However, there is also this one website that I use, Dashbot, that also provides really great analytics. So I'd say you can check out Dashbot as well. And I think that's it for our Alexa Skills Kit demo. I'll get questions in a minute. Just one more slide to go through. Learning resources. One place I'd suggest is if you go to my website, awesomeaariv.com. Then you'll see, if you scroll down, you'll see resources to get started with programming. And the title's a bit misleading, but because I have coding links, but at the bottom here, I also have a lot of Alexa-related links, which helped me learn more about Alexa, and hopefully these can help you guys learn some too. Okay. Questions? Let's see. Okay, from Carolyn. If this skill is on a device with a display, is there a way to program that from the developer console?
So maybe I can try to answer this, but question is not very clear to me, but let me try. So if it doesn't really matter if your device has a display or not, right? But if it is a display device, then you can it will automatically start showing the text if the skill is programmed for it. If the skill is using something called cards, so it will display on the screen. Now, if you really want to create an engaging experience for the screen, there is something called Alexa presentation language. It's kind of a markup language, same as you would create with HTML. It's a bit different, and I would say it's a subset of the way HTML is very vast, right? So you would use APL to create any kind of experiences you would like to want on the screen. The great thing about the Alexa APIs is when the request comes in, it has an identifier. It says whether this request is coming from a screen-based device or it is a non-screen-based device. So depending on the request, you can check what the request is coming from, and you can, depending on the device, you can have your custom response. So if it is a screen-based device, you can send a response which can have a video or other things which are more immersive. If it is a non-screen-based device, then you can just send out the audio response back.
Okay, from Avantika, are we paid if we publish an Alexa skill? There are two possible ways you can earn money from Alexa skills. One thing you can do is you can add in-skill purchases to your Alexa skill. And the other way is if you have one of the most engaging Alexa skills on Alexa, then you can possibly earn developer rewards as well. Any other questions? Thanks everyone for coming to my webinar. I really appreciate it. If you want to connect with us, you can just use any of the social media handles below. And thanks again.